There are many lessons I've learned in my years of photography. Lessons that have helped shape the kind of photos I take nowadays. These can be ranging from things like the importance of the appropriate composition, the relationship between the ISO, aperture and shutter speed. So those are more kind of technical kind of lessons. Then there was things like, like post production kind of things. So like, color grading, adding contrast and editing with like to add kind of visual effect. But there was one lesson I did learn that was nothing to do with like technical ability on the camera or anything to do with like post-production or editing software. It was more to do with like the importance of taking your camera out everywhere I go and taking as many photos as possible. And that is what brings me on to the title of this video, that photography is a game of momentum. Let's get into this. To give you the full context of this story, back in my early days of photography, I was a bit of an Instagram junkie, where I was only going out there and taking photos that I thought would be Instagram bangers, things that would get me loads of likes, loads of attention, huge following on Instagram, and that was generally, for me, that's what I thought was the point of photography. Kind of ashamed to admit it, but it was a very naive mistake to make, as like I said, I was in the very early days of my photography journey. And this is where I can see now the kind of like where I went wrong in terms of, yes, I was taking my camera everywhere I go, but I wasn't actually taking that many photos. So that was kind of the point of what I saw at the time. It was very much like, I've got my camera on me, but I would line up a situation, like a scene, and think, well, is this actually going to be worth posting on Instagram? If the answer was yes, I'll take the photo. If the answer was no, then I wouldn't. And I would carry this logic with me for many years when I was doing my photography, where I would only take shots that I thought was worth posting or sharing. But that was up until maybe about 5 years ago, where I used to do evening classes in photography at college. And one night we were tasked with going out in the city and taking, it was like a street photography kind of workshop, where you were asked to go out there and not necessarily given any more massive direction. You were just asked to take like what you thought would be good street photography photos. And I remember that night very well. It was kind of May time, nice warm kind of pre-summer evening. And I was out there and, I kind of just realised that, we had a 3-hour slot. We were asked to go out there and take photos. There was no point in just taking maybe between 5 and 10 of them and then just going back with that. That didn't seem really the point. So that's when I kind of unconsciously just started taking more and more photos. And it just kind of, I don't know if you want to say dawned on me or clicked in me that I was realising that the more photos I was taking, the better the final outcome was, and I had more to show for it. And after that night, I took this kind of logic forward and carried on just taking as many photos as I could. So rather than just taking, like I said, I was only taking maybe between 5, 10, 15 photos, I just took as many as I could. I suddenly found that not only was I enjoying the process a lot more, but I was taking better photos. I could see the improvement in my photography. And now that's where I really do understand when you look at other photographers who say, take your camera everywhere you go and take as many photos as you can. I've lived it when they say that that is the best thing you can do for yourself, and it certainly helped me. Now, what I will say is, full disclosure, just because I take my camera everywhere I go, I take as many photos, that doesn't mean that everything I touch turns to gold. It doesn't mean that every photo I take is brilliant. For every one good one, there's maybe about 10 to 15 that are ranging from bad to just average. But it all does add up, and I really do believe that. And I can see this same principle being applied with other photographers, like many photographers I follow, like Roman Fox, Billy D. You can see that they are always, their camera is glued to their hip. They always have it with them, and they're just taking as many photos as they can for as long as they can, because when you look at their body of work and the photos they take, it has just been progressively better and better and better. So yeah, that's my biggest lesson I've learned in my photography journey, and is probably the best piece of advice I can ever give anybody else who's either starting in photography or has maybe had a bit of creative rut or a bit of a block, is genuinely just take your camera out there and take as many photos as you can. There's no such thing as too many photos, because genuinely the results will be immediate. I would say you'll immediately see such a big difference, and like I said, you will enjoy the process a lot more. If you're someone who shares this opinion as me, please let me know. If you're someone who has maybe an alternative opinion and you think maybe slightly differently, or if you've just got a different lesson that you've learned that you want to share, please comment below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.